10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
Manchester
1,
United have
0.
reached the promised land.
Yes, good morning, everybody. It is happy bank holiday for anybody who's, relaxing, chilling in bed. United didn't ruin your weekend because we played tonight. It's a busy day in United People's TV towers. It's not a tower, it's just a flat. But anyway, how are you all doing? Did you enjoy your weekend? I'm sure you did. We had a little bit of a party. We had a can on Friday night after the news about Matt Judge leaving the club. Our feeders and Ed Woodward's right-hand man. And we're here this morning with more updates from David Ornstein and another exit. It's nowhere near as significant as Matt Judge leaving, but I'll tell you one thing. John Murtough is leaving no stone unturned in this, I would call it revolution behind the scenes at Manchester United. Some serious and widespread structural changes that we've needed for a long, long time. I'm going to run through the latest update on that latest departure this morning. Only confirmed about 45 minutes ago. So you get it first, well, not first here on United People's TV because it's first in the Athletic, but I'll cover it for you. And we're also going to deep dive into the Paul Mitchell situation. You know what I think about Paul Mitchell. I've gone as far as saying that he is the final piece to this puzzle. Obviously, there was a few people in the comments saying, Sam, he's not the final piece. The Glazers got to go. I know the Glazers have to go. It's the ultimate. You have to cut the head off the snake. But if you can't cut the head off the snake right now and you could do everything else behind the scenes, that's what we're doing. But look at that. Forgot about that. Eric, he's on the wall. If that doesn't deserve a like on the video, I don't know what does. Big up Stanley Chow. As always, he sent me that. And also, he didn't send me that. I bought it. But got one to give away here, people. Don't say I don't treat you well sometimes. I'll be organising that giveaway soon, but we're going to give him one of those away. But look, good morning to all of you. Who's down here in the comments? Have a look. Anuj, Blessed, Ian, good morning to all of you. Takeoff. I'm just reading out the members first, as always. Aaron, Nick, Al, Paula, I can see you there too. And T, those of you down there this morning. Oh, look, new member there. Dara. How you doing, Dara? You from Ireland? If anybody didn't watch that Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano fight at the weekend, you missed, I would probably argue, fight of the year. Just to say that. For women's boxing, it was incredible, but it was absolutely. If you haven't watched it, watch the highlights on YouTube now. I guarantee you like it, if you like boxing anyway. But let's talk about Paul Mitchell this morning. Obviously, what we're talking about this morning, I'll run through it for you. We're going to speak about the latest departure from Old Trafford that's not Matt Judge and what that means. Going to be speaking about Paul Mitchell and this idea of a chief of recruitment coming in. We're going to be speaking a lot about transfers. Milinkovic-Savic, his agent, has been speaking about Manchester United. We're going to speak about Frenkie de Jong, who spoke after Barcelona's game yesterday. We're going to speak about Ruben Neves. We're going to speak about Ralf Rangnick and more comments from Ralf Rangnick. We're going to speak about the game against Brentford tonight. We're going to run through a predicted 11 together. You can let me know who you think is going to start. It's going to be I do say every day, but legitimately, it is a very busy show because there's a lot going on at Manchester United at the moment. So many spinning plates behind the scenes, and it's good. It's the sort of change that we've needed for a long time. Darry, watching the whole way from Melbourne. Irish man, you must have enjoyed that fight of the weekend. Then Tao, you've joined as well. Who else you got down there? Jack, I tell you what, everyone's feeling very happy. Was it Tal or Ty? Sorry, mate. Let me read your name again. Ty. Apologise, Ty. Let me know where you're watching from. And Jack, both of you watching from Manchester. How you doing, mate? My missus is actually in Manchester right now. She went on a hen do. I was about to say a stag do. That would be a weird stag do. But look, Andy watching from Wigan. Good morning to you. I've got a smile on my face because I don't know. I've said it to you quite a lot of times here on United People's TV. We're heading in the right direction, aren't we? We're heading in the right direction. There's a long journey ahead of us, but you can finally feel like the shackles are starting to get pulled off the club. All these changes behind the scenes, and every single one that keeps happening, just keep going. Yeah, okay, I want more. I want more. We all want more. We all want more. We all want Paul Mitchell to be the next big thing that happens at the club. So let's run through the latest this morning from the Athletic on Paul Mitchell. As I said, it's coming from the Athletic, coming from Laurie Whitwell and Adam Crafton, I think. Let's have a look. Yeah, Laurie Whitwell and Adam Crafter. They've written quite a detailed article here on Judge's resignation and how it raises questions over Manchester United's summer transfer plans. Of course it does. But there's always been questions about this summer. It's such a massive summer for the club. And it feels like, have we gone into this summer, and I will always stand by this, had we gone into this summer with Eric Ten Hag and we hadn't really changed much behind the scenes, Jim Lawler would still be there, Marcel Bout would still be there, Matt Judge would still be there. I would imagine that there would be a repetition of problems. They've all been part of the issue. Ed Woodward ultimately was one of the main people responsible for it, and the Glazers are the ultimate responsible. They're the ones at the top of the tree. We know he needs to cut their head off at some point. Maybe not physically, but metaphorically. Lots of changes have happened, and had they not happened, I would have expected United to sort of befall the same fate under Erik ten Hag. That's why I'm so excited about all these changes. They all have to happen in unison, in tandem, and it is happening. And that man's coming in. But look, this is what they're saying on Paul Mitchell, because if I was to take 30 seconds out here and Matt Judge leaving, he was the chief negotiator. He was the man that was involved in the Ten Hag negotiations. And that's something that this article, I won't read the whole article out because it's a little bit boring. I don't think you like all of it. But some of it just goes into detail and explains how Matt Judge was, even up until a couple of weeks ago, was involved in all the negotiations. He was involved in the Ten Hag situation. And what they're reporting is that he internally told Manchester United, I'm going to be stepping away from it in a couple of weeks. Now, you can let me know in the comments. I don't know whether this is me being cynical or something like that, but we hear about Matt Judge's resignation. I think out of respect, John Murtough probably gave him the opportunity to resign. That's what I think anyway. Probably the same goes for Jim Lawler, Marcel Bout. It's not a sacking, but it's a sort of a strong hint that if you weren't to walk away from your job, it could lead to a point where I have to sack you. And that's kind of soft management. So it's a different way to go around it. And because John Murtough is in a situation with people who have been there for such a long time, you kind of have to approach it a little bit softly, I suppose. Sam, big up your name, my friend. Where are you watching, Sam? Where are you watching from, Sam? I know what you're watching. You're watching me. It's a bit weird. I personally think he was going to be sacked, and he was given the opportunity to walk away. And walk away he did. But this is what they're saying about Paul Mitchell in the article, okay? Because we all want Paul Mitchell. This is what the Athletic are saying. People at United accept that things haven't worked with Woodward's structures and personnel. Therefore, change is required. It absolutely is required. Whether Murtough, who is taking overall leadership of recruitment from his office overlooking the training ground pitches at Carrington, will be granted that latitude as a football director, big old sentence there, remains to be seen. This increased responsibility for Murtough is a significant shift in finalising the terms of deals and could include United's general counsel, Patrick Stewart. Does that mean that Professor X is it Professor X? I think it is, from X-Men. He's the person who's leading negotiations. Might have some sort of telekinetic powers. Anyway, that was a stupid joke. And his team source, blah, 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 blah. My God, these are really waffly sentences, aren't they? Anyway, let's just scroll down to the actual news. There are no immediate plans for a like-for-like Judge replacement at the club, with sources playing down the probability of Paul Mitchell joining. Murtough knows Mitchell professionally, but there are no active talks at present. Ralph Rangnick has proposed Mitchell to Arnold, but the endorsement is not as substantial as once perceived, because the German consultancy is expected to be light touch, especially after his appointment as Austrian manager. The situation is being evaluated, however, and more appointments are expected. Andy O'Boyle, head of elite performance at the Premier League, is among the candidates who could join as Murtough's assistant. And obviously, we spoke about Dan Ashworth before. Dan Ashworth from Brighton, who's ultimately gone to become Newcastle's new technical director. So the Athletic here are downplaying. Well, let's step back a bit there. Manchester United are briefing the Athletic to downplay the idea that Paul Mitchell's coming in. To downplay the idea that there's going to be some sort of recruitment guru who comes into the club. Now, I apologize for that dad joke there. I can see it in the comments. It's Monday. It's bank holiday. Let me off. Be nice to me. I personally think that recruitment chief is required. I think we all are. And I don't think it's being overly unreasonable to ask that in any way, shape, or form. The amount of money we've wasted. And John Murtough's done a lot of good stuff right now. In terms of structure and organisation, it's brilliant, in fact. I'll go as far as say it was brilliant. Would I then trust John Murtough to step more into a recruitment guru role? I question that. Just as much as I question whether John Murtough would be successful in what he's doing now. Sim down there in the comments, you're not wrong in saying that. Fletcher wouldn't, but what we've seen and we've heard about Darren Fletcher's role is that Darren Fletcher, and this is something I would probably agree with, Let me know what you think about this in the comments. There's so many detractors towards Darren Fletcher. Who is he? What does he do? Oh, get him out of the club. And I know it's because you can make assumptions. I've told you that the one thing that Fletcher needs is clarity over his role. If he's going to be a technical director, and he is a technical director, don't let him sit on the bench and start barking instructions. So when you see him with his fingers in so many pies, you're like, it's a bit weird. Darren Fletcher, what we're hearing, is going to be moving into a position where effectively acting as a bit of a recruitment ambassador, the sort of person that a player would speak to, and it will be Darren Fletcher explaining to him what it means to play for Manchester United, why he should join Manchester United. And in that sense, I don't disagree that would be, I don't think that would be a bad idea. Darren Fletcher knows what it's like to be at Manchester United, to come through, to work hard, and to win everything at United. So while he might not be the most inspirational man in the world when it comes to being a technical director or something, I definitely see some sort of purpose in that. And Darren Fletcher was the epitome of a player like John O'Shea, like Gary Neville as well. Players who weren't really, let's be completely honest, weren't naturally hugely gifted as footballers. But they worked. And they worked and they worked and they worked. And they made the most out of what they had. Ronaldo's probably the best example of that, but he also had the talent at the same time. Fletcher, I would not be upset really at all if Fletcher did that. Let me see what you're saying down here. Fletcher did that with a Judge when we signed Varane. Fletcher played a key role. Okay, well, if that's true, I think Darren can be a good technical director. Fletcher has experience considering his time at United. He was a good player at United. Absolutely was. Bring Ollie in as a negotiator. My God, imagine him. That's like king cliches. Absolutely king cliches from him. There's a comment up here from new member Ty. There he is. As always, any member on the channel, you know by now, it's a perk of becoming a member on United People's TV. I do look for your comments a bit more. It's only fair, right? If you can help me, I'll try and help you. I wonder if Fergie will still remain as an ambassador for the club, or if he will be offered another role at the club as part of the structural overhaul. Type, that's not happening. Fergie will not be coming back into a position in the limelight at Manchester United. Fergie will always be on the end of a phone call for anybody who wants him there, but that's about it. Fergie will never come back and work openly and actively inside the club again. Dari, you're saying, feeling I get is Murto knows his strong points, wants the football people to make the right decisions. Time will tell, but it's definitely progress and quite rapid since his appointment. It has been quite rapid, man. Absolutely been quite rapid. See, I wouldn't go as far as saying, like, Steve, I'm not saying that Fletcher should go there and just shut his mouth, right? But I don't think United have helped Fletcher in moving into this post-football, I think he's coached for a little bit. The lack of clarity that United are giving Fletcher over his role is making it harder for him to succeed because he doesn't know where to split his time. I imagine if you specialize him and just focus him on just that recruitment ambassador role, if you want to call it that. As a technical director, you're going to be in charge of helping the club XYZ, but also when it comes to new players, really convincing them. Fletcher going, because previously it was like Matt Judge trying to convince Jadon Sancho to come to Manchester United. How uninspiring would that be? It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So that should change. And hopefully that will change. But what's your opinion on this idea here? Let's bring the news back up. On the idea that Manchester United are not going to be bringing in a like-for-like Judge replacement and playing down the probability of Paul Mitchell, whilst also saying down here, the situation is being evaluated and more appointments are expected. Let me highlight that. Because it's a little bit of a, I suppose it's not too much of a juxtaposition because they're not specifically talking about Paul Mitchell there. But at the same time, 2 paragraphs after saying that Paul Mitchell's not coming in, they're saying that someone else will be there. So if it's not going to be Paul Mitchell, who's it going to be? Andy O'Boyle? Do I know enough about Andy O'Boyle to talk about him? No, I don't. He's the head of elite performance of the Premier League. Okay, it's good news for him. Obviously, Dan Ashworth, I said Danny Ashworth before. Dan Ashworth, who's now gone to Newcastle. That would have been a smart appointment. I could see the merits and the benefits of that. That Andy O'Boyle, I've got no idea. I'll do some research on him further down the line, right? And I'll bring that to you. But if it's not going to be Paul Mitchell, who's it going to be? Because I've shown and I've ran through. I hope you enjoyed the 2 videos I did at the weekend. I thought both of them were extremely relevant talking points. The first one I did on Saturday was a video to explain the structural changes, because I know it's kind of confusing and hard to keep your head around. So that's why I did that. And it seems like you enjoyed that video. And the video I did yesterday was running through Ralph Rangnick's comments ahead of Brentford, where he just details all of his plans, all of the recruitment plans, right? I like that. I absolutely like that. Let me see what you're thinking down here in the comments. Luis Campos says, Steve, obviously that's another, but Luis Campos is going to be very much a Paul Mitchell type man. If Paul Mitchell's not going to come in, then why would Luis Campos come in? They're very, very similar in that sense. Ashley, you're saying, I'll be happy as long as it's the right person for the club and they do not repeat the mistakes of what Judge did. Simonite, you're saying Paul Mitchell's the last piece, getting quick, get those sweet transfers in and Jibak. You're saying Judge was our liaison with agents. We need someone to replace him. That job isn't something anyone random can do and step in. You need your network. Network is key. And again, if you're looking at another reason why Paul Mitchell makes a, Paul Mitchell has got, it's got to be one of the best networks, because it's not just about, I mean, because if your network's really good, your network does half of your job for you. Somebody will drop you a message and say, honestly, you should probably come and see this player. Top class. It's not as if you've got your network will point you in the right direction if you trust your network. That's the whole concept of a network, right? Jack, you're saying, who's the Ajax negotiator? Is it Van der Sar? I believe that was Mark Overmars more than anybody. And of course, he's now left. Stefan, you're saying, I think United should invest all their efforts in signing Paul Mitchell. I think personally as well. And Quinton is an interesting comment saying, do you think it could be Carrick? I don't think it could be Carrick. This isn't, this position requires knowledge that exists outside of Manchester United. There's no internal appointment that we could make that would suit this role. This has to be somebody coming in. Obviously, Paul Mitchell's top of my list. It's top of a lot of your lists. And Rangnick has recommended him there. Rangnick proposed Mitchell to Arnold. So Ralph's already done the internal job. He's already given them the one name on his list, Paul Mitchell, having worked with him previously at Leipzig. And John Murtough also knows Mitchell. Where was it that he knew him? I think he met him was it at Spurs? Anyway, John Murtough's met Paul Mitchell before. So he knows. So at this time, right, Paul Mitchell's not happening according to what United had said in the press. I would probably take that with a little bit of a pinch of salt. And I'm not here saying that Paul Mitchell will happen. I'm not going to try and be in the know. But United, as it states right there, more appointments are expected. Because there's been another departure, which I will explain next. Because this really is such an incredible time for United fans, man. It really is. That's why I was so excited when I did that. Had a can out on Friday talking about Matt Judge leaving. It's like, finally, the people are getting booted out one by one, piece by piece. The club is getting rid of the people who allowed the last 10 years to happen. And that's why I was so excited. And I'm not going to put any blame on her. What was her name? Her name is Anne Wylie. But Anne Wylie has left Manchester United. Another dad joke incoming. Not very Wylie, though. Woohoo! Sorry. Anyway, this is from David Ornstein this morning, because Manchester United, as I said at the start of the video, John Murtough really is leaving no stone unturned. This feels like a true, proper, like internal audit of everything that's going on and how Manchester United's run as a football club. And now we've brought in somebody else to do the same sort of audit on the players. Let me explain this role. It might be a little bit confusing, but let me explain it to you. Manchester United's strategic rebuild has stepped up further. Following the announcement of Erik ten Hag as the club's new manager for next season. They love long sentences on here, don't they? New manager next season, and they are preparing for his arrival by asking former West Ham United and Southampton player care specialist Hugo Schechter to perform a full audit on the quality of the club's pastoral offering to the first team environment. Man, they really like long sentences. Anyway, who is Hugo Schechter? What is player care? Who is a player care specialist? That's a bit weird. Let's read it. The health check will review over 120 aspects of United's processes using a 4-level rating system in order to inform United where they are succeeding and failing in this area. This audit is primarily targeted at the first team environment, but will also touch on the transition from the academy into the first team. He'll conduct the audit via interviews with employees across the club, which may include players, and he was present at the training ground last week. And we go down here and we see this little snippet. It is understood that United's current head of player care, Anne Wylie, will be leaving the club after 36 years at the club. She will be the latest exit following the departure of Matt Judge, Marcel Bout, and Jim Lawler. Oh, look, while the club's communication lead, Charlie Brooks, announced he would leave the club early this year. This is the latest development, the latest change from Manchester United. And it's a man called Hugo Schechter, right? Let me explain to you what that is. So this is Hugo Schechter here. This is the company that he started, Player Care Group. You can see him there with Van Dijk, with Mane, with, is that Yoshida? I think it is. And that's James Ward-Prowse at Southampton. He worked at Southampton previously. He's saying, do we want to get somebody who worked at Southampton previously? Then went to Spurs. Maybe Leipzig and then Monaco. Well, I'm just saying. There's a couple of super chats here. I'll read these ones out before we move on because I don't want to miss these. Dara, what are you saying, sir? Thank you very much. Nice to have you on board. I'm not really concerned on any transfers or new staff as long as dealings are who Eric and Ralph want. Trust and support them is my hope. It's nice to have that that person you can look up to now at the club and go, I trust that they're going to make the right decisions. And I do that. I do trust Eric Ten Hag and I do trust Ralph Rangnick. Whether or not Ralph gets the power to make those changes now that he's doing this dual role, I suppose we'll never know. Joseph, what are you saying, sir? We need to complete these appointments quickly. We then need to look at the fitness and medical teams. Now, medically, Ralph Rangnick's actually bigged up our medical department. He's like, the medical department is world class. Player fitness, though, is massively a huge problem at the club. We know. We actually look like a professional football club off the pitch, says Nick. It's blowing my mind as well. It is blowing my mind. But let me explain to you what this appointment is. Hugo Schechter. What does it mean? I think this is a significant... It's more of a subtle appointment. But when it comes to Manchester United's players, they're definitely not happy, are they? I think we've got every right to not be happy with them. And the environment's wrong. There's something wrong with the environment. And that is what this audit is supposed to come in and help United understand a bit more. If you go down here and you read this, right, this is what the audit includes. Looking at player onboarding, cross-departmental integration, very nice. Academy transitions, day-to-day support, player appearances, fan mail, signed items. It's every single part of what happens with a player on a day-to-day basis. Now, you probably won't be able to read this because I can't zoom in anymore. Oh, yes, I can. That was a lie. So this is what an audit will look like. I thought it was quite interesting to look at this. It starts off with player recruitment and onboarding, working with the recruitment team to help sell the club to signings before they agree. They welcome the player and the family. Look, language tutoring, religious and cultural support, away match tickets. They shouldn't give any of them to fucking players. Give them all to fans. Non-playing squad members, home match logistics, it's every single aspect. It's quite boring, right? As I said, this isn't going to be something that you smile about and you go and talk to everyone. But this sort of thing here with Hugo Schechter is just another subtle difference that United can do, that United can bring into the club and change. And all of a sudden, new signings, it all just feels a little bit smoother, right? Feel it a little bit smoother. Anthony saying you've got the appointment spot on so far. Hopefully it does come in threes, mate. If I get the hat trick, A, it'll be the only hat trick I've ever got in football because I was crap. B, I'd be absolutely over the moon because that man right there is the man we all wanted to be at the helm. Our manager, Eric Ten Hag. Big up to, but there's quite a few of you in the comments that are asking where I got this from. Let me leave the link of the artist in the comments. Stan Chow. Good guy. I've got loads of his art and it's nice to support a Manchester artist. That's why I went and got him on the wall. There you go. Well, Sam saying, well, don't you feel embarrassed now that United has not been audited before? I believe it's the basic thing to do. I mean, it's not to say that United, obviously there'll be financial audits every year as a public limited company, but not every company every year will do an internal audit of their processes. If they trust their processes, why have you got to do an internal audit? This is him doing that. This is United admitting shit's not working. And John Murto is the man that's coming and saying it's just not working. Things have to change. Ian, you're saying you get referral code. I'm going to try and see if we can get a 10% discount code or something like that from Stan Chow for everybody here. I'll tell you one thing randomly here. I really want to say this because I watched it about 30 times last night. I know we're not anywhere near winning the league, right? But when it happens, This is funny. When it happens, I want us to do exactly what Trabzonspor fans did out in Turkey. Their first league title in 38 years. They did a watching party, a public viewing party, and this happened straight after they won the title. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine that? Sorry, I saw that video last night and I couldn't stop watching it. I was like, that is the most incredible celebration of a title I've ever seen in my entire life. So that's a big up to Trabzonspor fans for doing that. So it was good. It was cool. Imagine that in Trafford. No, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Jibak, for a Disneyland club, boring audits are what we need. It's a very good comment there. Yeah, we talking about Hollywood signings, Hollywood this, Hollywood that. Yeah, it's boring, but it's essential. It's essential processes the club is building in here. Helagon, you're saying this. Love this. This is what I mentioned further up. This is super important. Like I said, if you're Irish, I'd be awesome if someone like Irwin showed you the ropes at the club as an ambassador. Yeah, absolutely. That United just seem to be moving in the right direction and getting everything right. That's what I think, anyway. Ian, when we win the title, I'm running down Dean's Gate in my pants. Well, I don't want United to ever win the title again, then, Ian. Jesus Christ. Will saying that's some party. That just looks. I like a good party. I'm sure you do as well. How do you already have a Ten Hag cartoon about? No, because Stanley Chow, my friend, Stanley Chow. But look, so much going on at United at the moment, and it's all bit by bit. It's just giving you an extra 3% positivity for next season, an extra 5% positive, an extra 10% positivity for next season. In the ultimate ambition of getting back to where we want to be, and we're doing it. Paul Mitchell for me is the thing that he comes with a set of skills. Sound like Liam Neeson taken. He comes with a set of skills that no one inside this club has got. A network that no one inside this club has got. In the area inside the club, which arguably has been the biggest fuck up in the last 10 years, is probably our recruitment department. It's been at the absolute core of everything that we have got wrong, right? So we need to bring in a new face. And Paul Mitchell is that man for me. So right now, the latest on Paul Mitchell is that United are downplaying the idea. Let me bring this up one more time before we do move on. There's still so much to talk about. And of course, we've got Brentford tonight. Manchester United internally are downplaying the idea that Paul Mitchell could come to the club. Even though he was pictured with Ralph Rangnick at Old Trafford, even though he's from Manchester, even though he's worked with Rangnick at Leipzig, even though that Rangnick has recommended Mitchell to United, there's a lot of reasons why it would make sense. It's not as if we're holding on to, we're just like holding like this ambition that Paul Mitchell could come in and it wouldn't make sense. United have cleared out Judge, Lauder and Bout. There's a space for him right there. We need that appointment right there. Rangnick, he's recommended him. Murto, he's professionally worked with him before. There's so much momentum behind it that I just hope it happens. And of course, I want it to happen, so I'm going to be pushing the Paul Mitchell propaganda here on the channel. I can't help it because I think it will be very good for the club in the same way that I pushed the Rangnick propaganda because I thought it was good for the club. And I personally think that's proven to be the case. And we're going to be speaking about Rangnick's latest honest comments now. There's more of them. Unbelievable. I thought Ten Hag was the right decision for the club, so I pushed that. And that has come through. And both of them, I think, have taken Manchester United into a position where next season we can look at it with more positivity. Arca, considering what we've been through since Fergie left, these changes are what we have craved for so long. It gets me all emotional, you know. Fat bastard. I'm not calling you a fat bastard, by the way. That was Fat Bastard from Austin Powers. But emotional, no. I suppose, yeah, I'm emotional. I'm happy. I've got a big smile on my face. It's making me emotional in that sense. Jack, you're asking a question here in the comments. Do you think Ten Hag is taking more full control and wants transfers down to himself and his own people? I don't think that. I think what Ten Hag wants is somebody at the club that he can go to, rely on, and trust to do that recruitment. He had that in Overmars and Van der Sar. They had a process that worked perfectly between them. He just wants that same sort of setup. He doesn't want to be like Kim Jong-un. He doesn't want to be like a complete and utter dictator. What I say goes, and nobody can say anything otherwise. That's not what he's asking for. But at the moment, he's got to go to John Murtough for that recruitment conversation. John Murtough, what's his network? What agents is he calling? He can't do that. It's a full-time job. Absolutely a full-time job, especially with the scale of Manchester United summer that's coming up. Ray, nice to see you there, buddy. It properly changes now, my brother. It absolutely does, Ray. Nice to see you here on Bank Holiday. It's and Madkin, you're saying there's no smoke without fire for the Paul Mitchell rumours. One of my favourite sayings, cliches. It's true. It builds around Paul Mitchell. And fingers crossed over the next, what is it, the 2nd of May now. So it's 13 days until the end of Ajax's season. We've got Crystal Palace in the last. We've got Brentford tonight. And is it Brentford tonight? And then we've got like 17 bloody days or something. Let me check that. I think it's something stupid because our game's got rescheduled and changed. So we got Brentford tonight. And then we don't have a game until, Crystal Palace. No, sorry, my bad. Brighton on Saturday. I meant after that. So we got Brentford today, Palace on, Brentford today, Brighton on Saturday, Palace 15 days after that. That's ridiculous. A 15-day wait at the end of the season. Can you imagine? That's so stupid. Ridiculous. But look, I want Paul Mitchell to happen. Let's make it happen, United. And if it's not Paul Mitchell, I want somebody who has the same skill set as Paul Mitchell. I don't think there's anybody better than that. If you're going to go, it's all about getting best in class, right? And Paul Mitchell is definitely going to be available, and it makes perfect sense. So I don't really know why we go after anybody apart from Paul Mitchell, unless we're going to go after someone that has a completely different skill set. But it's not what we need. Shady, nice to see you down there this morning. Let me know where you're watching from, buddy. Joseph, what are you saying, sir? I get the impression that Ten Hag is a no-nonsense sort of guy. We can agree on that for sure. It's just what we need and will be a shock to many of the current players. Mate, there are so many of these players that are just going to go, absolutely need a new pair of pants as soon as Ten Hag comes in. He's not going to do it in a Mourinho style, though. Because there's different, you can have authority and an assertion without fear. You don't have to lead by fear and coercion necessarily. Some people do. Some fine. Ten Hag will carry that respect, and that's what being successful brings you. Brings you that aura, which I suppose Ole Gunnar Solskjaer never held on these players, which I suppose Ralph Rangnick has never been able to have over these players. But the fact that he was an interim the whole time really didn't help him. Ian is saying, have you heard reports that Lingard wants to stay at the club after speaking? Goodbye, Jesse Lingard. I don't care if Jesse Lingard wants to stay at the club now, and I don't mean that in a. Obviously, that does sound quite horrible and dismissive, but just end it, man. I don't care. Lingard, you want to stay at the club, bro? Would have signed a deal ages ago. No, you've angled for the move away. Don't just go, oh, actually, got a new manager in. Oh, I love United again. Nah, capiche, gone. Same with Pogba. If Pogba goes, all of a sudden, oh, you know what? Actually, I do want to sign that contract that will make me probably one of the best paid players in the Premier League. I've changed my mind. I actually think I'd love to play for Manchester United now. No, none of them. There's not one of them that I would argue, yeah, man, keep him at the club. I've changed my mind. Pogba, no. Matic, no. Mata, no. Lingard, no. Cavani, no. Gone. Nick. I hope the likes of Mata, Matic, Lingard, Pogba get a very warm goodbye from the other. That's fair enough. Get a very warm goodbye from the fans at Old Trafford tonight. Still like to think that we have some class left, regardless of the result. Thank you very much, Nick, for putting me in my place there immediately after what I just said, because it is true. Tell you what, it's going to be a little bit awkward tonight, though. I'll tell you why. I was going to bring this up later. The 1958 are doing another protest tonight. Going to be hopefully the third game in a row where protest exists. We've had it before the game against Norwich, and we had it before the game against Chelsea, and now the 1958 are going to be holding a protest at the Trinity statue before the game. No climbing on the statue, by the way. It's all got to be done peacefully. It's all got to be done properly, and that's why these protests can continue to happen. As soon as any Manchester United fan, as part of these protests, starts getting violent, starts causing damage, you give the police and Manchester United a reason to be able to stop these protests. That's the idea. That's why they keep saying just be peaceful, all right? That's allowing more of these protests to happen. So that's happening at 7 o'clock ahead of kickoff tonight. And then 17 minutes before full time, that's the 73rd minute. Go on my maths, even though it's written right there. They're going to be doing a walkout at Old Trafford. And of course, because it's the last home game of the season, there's going to be a lap of honor. That kind of makes it a bit awkward. 73rd minute, one for every year that the Glazers have owned the club. That's exactly why the boycotts happened 17 minutes into the game and 17 minutes after the game. To all those going to the protest, stay safe. Absolutely, for sure. Ian saying interview for the leaders of the protest. I've spoken to them, and let's just keep it behind the scenes, all right? The 1958 are not somebody who want to go public like that. And what they're doing, I think is good. I think it's a very good thing for the club, and I will definitely keep supporting them and keep trying to do videos. That I've obviously done a video for 2 of the protests so far. The big one when the Liverpool game got cancelled, and the one before the Norwich game. And I'll continue to try and help however I can. All right. But going back to the conversation, as I said, there's so much to talk about United. Sometimes you can come on and say, oh, yeah, there's so many talking points, and then you maybe stretch some out. It's just not the case. There really are so many things going on at Manchester United at the moment in preparation of Erik ten Hag coming in. United are having a proper spring clean. A spring clean that in a club that hasn't had a spring clean in like 10 years. It's the most overdue spring clean in the world. And Rangnick, we know that he's he's been fantastic. He's been fantastic in what he's saying. Because I don't know, just love Ralph Rangnick. I've already done my video on him. This is what he said now. He said, no matter which club, it is always necessary and important that you need an idea. You need to know how you want to play. What kind of profiles do we need? Because if you do not do that, you're always looking for the needle in the haystack. And that's that sentence there, the needle in the haystack, that sums up Manchester United's transfers in the last 10 years. The one that immediately jumps out to me is Bruno Fernandes is the needle in the haystack that we pulled out. The player that came to the club and progressed at the club. And was like, wow, we made a great signing. The sort of signing where other people go, yeah, man, that was a good signing. Rarely have we really done that. And we've spent $1 billion. There's, of course, some good eggs in there. Don't know how many diamonds we've uncovered. And there's been a lot of duds. A lot of duds. So that needs to change. But one thing that Ralph Rangnick said, because he spoke ahead of the game against Brentford tonight, there was one thing that stood out to me. It was kind of maybe a little bit of a surprise, I suppose. This is what he was saying about Man United signing a striker this summer. Well, or maybe one of them, or maybe 3 of them. There should be 2 or 3 new strikers next season. It's pretty obvious. What's your take on that? Because I think it's obvious that United needs, and Ralph Rangnick said, we need reinforcements up front. But 2 to 3 strikers? Does he mean attackers? Maybe is that like a little bit lost in translation rather than simply talking about strikers? But in one sense, you can't really argue with it because you've got Ronaldo, who's 37, our main striker. Cavani, who's 35, our second striker. He's leaving. Anthony Martial, he's not really a striker, but you can add him to the list if you want to, and he's probably going to be leaving. Marcus Rashford, not really a striker. You can add him to the list if you want. Completely out of form last season. And Mason Greenwood, somebody who Ralph Rangnick has said that was probably the best talent that I've seen, gone. Out of the picture. So we've gone from having Ronaldo, Cavani, Martial, Rashford, Greenwood, 5 options to 1 option. Ronaldo's effectively our only striker. Declan, you think, of course, he means forwards. And I probably do think he does mean forwards rather than simply pure number 9s. But we definitely need 1 number 9 this summer. Absolutely need a number 9. Stefan, you're saying, Sam, is Harry Kane an option? Yeah, of course he's an option. I don't personally think that it's an option we should be looking at because I don't think we can afford Harry Kane and go for what we need to. This has to be a summer where we're smart with our budget. Realistically, the sorts of signings that we could and would make, I don't think that we would be able to do. We have to be smart with the money. If we don't have an infinite budget, right? That's why I think the idea of Harry Kane and Declan Rice can probably just be put to one side. I think we're going to be outpriced of both of them. Ronaldo's Real Madrid bound. He's definitely not going back to Real Madrid. He's already done all of his good stuff at Real Madrid. He does not need to go back now. Love the man's honesty, says Jack. Lacked in the club for years. It's completely true, my friend. John, you're saying, do you think these protests are doing any good? The Glazers are thousands of miles away and couldn't care less. All it does is create the wrong atmosphere for the team to perform. John, if I could dislike the comment, I probably would. No offense. These protests are definitely helping keep the narrative at the top of the conversation list. Are they going to be doing? Will these protests force the Glazers to leave? No, they won't. But they force the conversation to be had constantly. And that's why I think maybe the idea of 10 smaller protests might have more of a significant impact than one big protest. Because previously, one big protest hasn't forced the change that we've wanted to do. And with everything that's going on at the club at the moment, all these positive changes, who's to say that these protests aren't influencing that? I don't personally think that they are directly, but indirectly, these protests will hopefully be doing quite a lot of good. Jibak, the fact that we haven't improved a single player since David, I would disagree. I'd definitely say that we've improved Bruno Fernandes. And I'm sure there's others that we have improved somewhat. Makes our deals look worse than they actually are. We've been bad, but not that bad. I mean, I think we really have been atrociously bad. Absolutely atrociously bad. Mal, why have you got Gandhi on your book? Come on. It's definitely Eric. It's definitely Eric. Will, you're saying environment isn't the problem. The players are the problem. I know that the players are the problem, but I think you'd be foolish to say that Manchester United's environment and the context and the circumstances of all of that doesn't play its part in it. It all feeds off each other, man. It all feeds off each other, for sure. I don't think you can just say it's all down to the players and the environment of the club. I always say that the players are symptomatic of what's going on in their club. Players are typically pretty reflective of how well a football club is run off the pitch. Liverpool, things are just running smoothly, going correctly, and the football reflects it. City, same thing. When a club is in turmoil, the football's in turmoil. When a club is really spot on, the team and the players can be spot on. So I think the circumstances of the club actually really do affect it quite a lot. But of course, we've talked a lot about recruitment here, and there's been, because it's one of those weekend shows. I haven't been here on Saturday or Sunday. There's a lot more there's a lot more things to catch up on. That's why it's probably gonna be a little bit longer show than possible. And look, if you would please drop a like on the video. Welcome to United People's TV. If you're new, and if you are new, make sure you subscribe as well. Piro saying, since I started following you, my football knowledge went through the roof. You must have had zero knowledge before. Still adamant to be a member soon. Good stuff, Sammy boy. Thank you very much, Pyro. Nice to see you there. No Pyro, no party, right? That's great username. But look, let's talk about transfers, because there's plenty of updates to talk about here. And one that you know that I would love if Manchester United made. I still think I still would love to sign Ruben Neves. Manchester United sent a senior scout to the Molineux to watch Wolves play on Saturday. There is growing belief at Wolves that Neves could be playing out his final season. It's like rewind 12 months. Yeah, this story came out then as well, and nothing happened. And he stayed at the club, and United didn't go for him. What do you mean sending a scout to watch Ruben Neves? You don't need to send a scout to watch Ruben Neves. You scouted him last year. Ruben Neves. You know what Ruben Neves is. How much do you think Ruben Neves? I think actually no. We've already had conversations about this, haven't we? 50 million probably. You're looking around for Neves. We need midfielders. It's about the right profile. I think profile-wise, Neves would really slot into a Ten Hag system. I could really see that working. Not all midfielders do. But I don't really see how you've got to send a scout to Ruben Neves to find out anything that you don't already know. Bit weird that. Neves, please, says Carl, but not for 100 million. And Matt saying, Neves to United, why scout him? You did all that 12 months ago. Maybe they threw everything out. They got to do it all again. Bit weird. Jason, you're saying, Sam, I love Neves, but there has to be a reason no big club has signed him. No, I don't think that's the case. I find it mad that he's still. I think maybe a big club hasn't signed him because Liverpool and City, have they needed Neves? I suppose maybe you could have had him instead of Fabinho at Liverpool. City could probably have got him there instead of Rodri, maybe. But no, I don't think the fact that he hasn't been signed by other clubs is like a warning. Oh, stay away from him. Not that at all. Stuart in the comments, you saying, I love Neves, but I think Basuma would be a better option. Both would be nice. Both would be nice. And there really are so many comments about Gandhi. People seem to think he looks like Gandhi. But of course, it's not the only midfielder getting linked with us. And Sergei Milinkovic-Savic's agent has been swooning over Manchester United again. And again, this is not the first time he's done this. Sergei has no shortage of offers for the summer. At the moment, we are dealing with Manchester United and PSG. He is focused on the end of the season with Lazio, but Sergei wants to go to Manchester. Now, what do you think about that then? Because we're talking about profiles of midfielders that's going to change Manchester United. Is Milinkovic-Savic really the man that's going to do that? There's no doubt that Milinkovic-Savic is great. He's having his best season, I believe, at Lazio. We were linked with him last summer. He stayed there. Of course he did. He's far more of an attacking midfielder than he is a defensive midfielder. And his agent there coming out saying, we're currently dealing with Manchester United. This feels like Man United's name getting used to generate interest. That's sometimes it just feels like that, right? That's personally what I think there. Steve, you're saying that SMS is a beast. Yeah, absolutely is a beast. I just do not think that's the exact sort of midfielder that we need to sign. I think we far more need a midfielder like Ruben Neves than we do need a midfielder like Milinkovic-Savic. Now, you might disagree with that, given that Paul Pogba is leaving the club this summer. Someone like Milinkovic-Savic would probably fall more into a Paul Pogba replacement type role than a defensive midfielder that we desperately need type role. So if we're going to be spending 50, 60, 70 million on a midfielder, I'd much rather it be in the ilk of Ruben Neves than the ilk of Milinkovic-Savic. That's what I think anyway. Aiden is saying, yes, he's a box-to-box midfielder. Neves is good, but Wolves would hold United for a big price, says James. Absolutely would. Neves or De Jong was saying in the comments, SMS is finished. I mean, he's not finished. I think he's quite literally having his best season at Lazio. But as Mehar said, he's 27, has a bit of Zidane in his movement. He's 27. This is his big, big move. I just don't personally think it's the right thing for United. Just my own opinion, though. Instead of Neves, I would go for Sengara. If Tchouaméni is unattainable, it'd be worth about 20 to 30. Not sure who Sengara is. So you let me know. Send me if there's any players you think I should be looking at, send me a DM on Twitter. My DMs are always open on Twitter or Instagram. If you just want to chat, if you need any help or anything, I always leave them open. But another midfielder we've been linked with, as I said, it's going to be a busy-ass summer. De Jong. He played yesterday and he spoke about his future after the game. He said, the conversation with Xavi was very good. I'm confident in myself and the coach says he is too. So everyone is happy. The pressure is always good for a player to get the best out of himself. The pressure is never too much. So if you watched any of Barcelona's game yesterday, I caught glimpses of it and I was reading the match reports after. De Jong put in a decent performance. Wasn't an incredible performance, but it was Barcelona fans seemed largely happy with his performance compared to previous weeks. And it's sort of growing into that role in Xavi. And there's no doubt that Xavi's helped turn around that club extremely quickly. They're a little bit fortunate in that sense, but I suppose given Xavi's history with Barcelona, they're just going to be like, oh, please be a Guardiola V2. That's what they want. They've got some great crop of youngsters coming through. Now, De Jong, of course, and I've said this to you before, I said, even if Manchester United don't sign De Jong this summer, and my gut is telling me we won't sign him, but I won't rule it out, it will be a De Jong type player that Ten Hag wants to sign. Even if it's not De Jong coming in, it will be his picture, his blueprint saying, right, if you're not going to sign De Jong, who are you going to sign for me that is going to be my version of De Jong? Like Gravenberch was his latest version of De Jong inside that Ajax setup. He needs that player, that deeper line playmaker, which again is probably why, and we're talking about deeper line playmakers, I think someone like Ruben Neves would far suit United and what we need more than someone like Milinkovic-Savic. But we need midfielders, and we're definitely signing them this summer. Roland, probably not the only United fan. I'm definitely going to be doing videos on Van der Beek and Van der Beek and Ten Hag. Forgot his name there. Sorry, Eric. I'll be doing those across the sea, probably in the next few weeks. As I said to you before, there's so many talking points around it. I've got like 15 to 20 different Ten Hag videos that I can do. And I'm just sort of picking and choosing when the right ones. I'm trying to set the whole content schedule and calendar. So trust me, it's a good time to really is a good time to subscribe to United People TV. Got so many good things coming up. Steve saying, Sam, how do I send super chats? I'm not sure, mate. I think if there's a little button down there where you normally leave your comment, I think there's a little sign. You can click that and send in a super chat. I'm not actually too sure though. Good morning to you, Paul. And there's a comment there from, what is it? Wesley saying, why not Haidara over Neves or Savage? Haidara is clearly going to be a name that gets linked to Manchester United again. It was a name that was effectively linked because Ralph Rangnick was our boss. And there's no doubt he'll come up again. The list of, I told you, I could compile a list right now of like 10 to 15 different midfielders. And all of them, you'd be like, yeah, I could, yeah, okay, yep, okay, you two. That's what I mean about profiling. We've really got to narrow down our key attributes and characteristics of each player to get this right, because we've got to stop doing this. As Rangnick said here, Manchester United's transfer policy is effectively looking for the needle in the haystack. We have to improve our own odds. We have to be better and smarter at doing it. It's not just about looking at any midfielder and saying you. It's about being very specific with who they want to bring in. Jack, you sent a super sticker. I don't know what they are. Thank you very much, Jack. Have you heard about this player care specialist Ten Hag's bringing in, says Jack? We've already spoken about that. That would be this man here, Hugo Schechter. And I've run through and explained what that process is. You can check the video earlier. Basically, this sort of audit he's going to bring to the club based on player recruitment and boarding, day-to-day living, away match logistics, home match logistics, player care team management, interaction and perception, and safeguarding and child protection. So it's basically going to improve the day-to-day living of each player when it comes to their professional environment at Manchester United. Their job, their day-to-day at work, it's improving that and making it more professional. It's a sort of audit which clubs don't really need to do that often because their internal processes should be spot on. But United's are all wrong, all hickledy-pickledy. And that's why someone like Hugo Schechter is coming in to change that. And why there's been another exit from the club, and that was Anne Wylie. Nearly 40 years she worked for the club. Manchester, John Murto, man, don't stop. Keep doing what you are doing, sir. You're doing God's work. You're not doing God's work, but it feels like it. I'll tell you what. That's what I mean. All this conversation here, all this talking point, we're playing footy tonight. So let's spend a few minutes here. Let's run through a predictor. You can choose in the comments. You can tell me who should be starting. So I put this down as a potential starting 11 for the game against Brentford tonight. I don't know whether Fred's going to be back and fit. He might be. He might not be. If he isn't, does Matic start there? Tellez, he'll probably start because I think Luke Shaw's still injured. Maguire, he could come back in. You let me know in the comments here. If there's any changes you would do to this team, what would they be? And I'll try and read a few of your comments out. Jack, you sent another little super sticker. I don't know what super stickers are, man. Do they just like stick up? I'm sure they do. Personality, says Michael, of new players is as important as ability. Now, Michael, you obviously, right? You watched that video that I did yesterday on Rangnick's plans for recruitment. And he detailed his list, didn't he? In terms of what the most important things were. And basically talent was the last thing he said. It's all about mentality. It's all about quality. It's all about attitude, fitness, and talent. Basically the last thing he said, and I really thought that was quite telling. Jojo saying Ibrahim Sange is PSV's CDM. PSV to Ten Hag, maybe not. 24-year-old Ivorian who's 6'1" tall. I'll have a look at that. There's going to be a lot of players like that. That's what I mean. You could identify 10, 15, 20 of those types of players, but it's about getting the exact right one. Paul, you want to see the youth players. I really want to see the youth players tonight. I just don't think we will see them from the start. Otherwise, you probably would have seen it. Medri needs to get more game time. Fernandez at left back. Carl, you want to play the kids. Felix, you want to play the kids. Yeah, I'd absolutely love to see this. Love to see that. That's something that I've been saying for a while now here on United People's TV. I'm saying of all the youngsters who could come in and play, I think that Fernandez would be an absolute stonking chance for him to play. Let me just check the team sheets for the under-23s game that happened at the weekend because they lost 3-1 to Liverpool. Let me see who played that game and whether or not Alvaro Fernandez played. Because if he did play, it's very unlikely that he's going to be playing here against. Oh God, there's too many things going on. This is why you got to prepare things off screen and adverts on websites that move when you try and click something. The little bastards. Did he play? Yes, he did play. So Alvaro Fernandez played. He was taken off. Unlikely then that we'll see Alvaro Fernandez play. Oh, he played and scored. Maybe he'll come off the bench. Unlikely. How are you saying that? Brentford is good. Don't underestimate by playing youngsters. It's at this point of the season, how it's not about playing teams because play the full team because we're underestimating it. It's like, no, sod this. Season's done. Don't want to see any players here who aren't going to be at the club next year. It's about laying the foundations for next season. And that's why the idea of giving kids debuts makes sense, because we're not chasing the top four. It doesn't matter whether we finish 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th. You could argue, it does matter if you get fucking hell. I'm not going to have an argument about whether it's important if United get into the Europa League or the Europa Conference League. That's not my flex. I'm not getting involved in that. Garnacho is probably the most likely to get a start if any of them are going to get a start. But again, I just don't think he will. Garnacho for Rashi. Ralph's going to have fun with his selection. I hope so. I really hope so. Maguire is out. Oh, that's a shame, isn't it? So you're probably going to see Varane playing the left-hand side and Victor Lindelof. There you go. So then Fred could be fit and available for the game tonight. I'm not really sure. I'll be honest, I don't really care. I don't care. And like I can see down here, Mount saying Europa League Conference, no thanks. From a completely selfish point of view, I want United to get Europa Conference over Europa League, because I would have much better trips next season. Because you just go to random places. There's nothing more enjoyable as a United fan than going to a United game away from home in Europe, proper obscure location. I've watched United in France, Italy, Spain. Still haven't been Germany, actually. Netherlands. I want to go, I don't know, let's go Finland. Let's go Estonia. Why not? Be great. Maybe it wouldn't be great for the football club, though. So maybe, as I said, it's a little bit selfish. Season is done and dusted. Don't want Europa League. It's not that I don't want Europa League. It's just like I don't particularly care whether it's Europa League or whether it's the Conference League. Because in my opinion, we're finishing top 4 next season. So I don't really think that the Europa League might be an opportunity to... No, I mean, if you go into the Europa Conference, you can just play the kids. Properly play the kids. Imagine that. That'd be great for them. Europa League gives us another avenue to get to the Champions League. I don't want United to have that safety net, in a sense, because then we're just purely focused on that top 4 chase, rather than going, maybe we can just stay in the Europa League and sneak in it that way. No, just get into the top 4. North Macedonia. I'd love to go North Macedonia. David, I'm done with some of these players. A lot of them need to be sold. 17 players. Well, I ran through that fans list, didn't I? Sky Sports did the poll, and there was 14 players on the sell list there, so you're not too far off. I'd take the Europa League. Of course, you'd take the Europa League. Absolutely. But I don't particularly... All right, that's a good net. Erwin saying that we're not finishing top 4 next season. You type yes or no. Do you think that United will finish top 4 next season in Erik ten Hag's first year as Manchester United's manager? Type yes or type no in the comments there. What's your gut feeling? Obviously, we haven't signed any players, so the confidence of you might be a little bit of a low, but things are very much going to change by the time that the next season starts on the 6th of August. We're going to have a lot more players in. Let me see whether or not you think that we're going to be getting in there. Let's go down here. Ashley, you think so? Mick, you're saying no. Jedi, you're saying no. No way, Jose. Oh, look at that. I'll tell you what, it's far more split than I thought it was. No way, yes. Yes. No. Top 4, yes. Hope so. There's a lot of people commenting here. This is wicked. I like it when you can do this interactive stuff. I personally think we will. Call me an optimist. Call me whatever you want. You really can call me whatever you want. I think we'll get top 4 next year. Obviously, you've got Liverpool and City, who effectively are dominating those top 2 spots. So it's going to be between us, Chelsea, and Arsenal and Spurs. We don't know what's going on with Conte. Chelsea probably should be in and around there as always, but I'm backing United to get into the top 4 next year. So the idea of having the Europa League as the backup option, I don't care about that. Me personally, I don't care about that. I think it's time that United start getting ambitions that don't rely on a massive safety net like the Europa League to get into the Champions League. Let's just focus on getting to a top 4 finish, right? Simple as that. Is there a list of players who are free agents that you welcome to the club? That I know it's free agent city this summer. I know it's like Dybala, Mbappe, Pogba. There are so many ridiculous players who are free agents. I'm not sure there are many or any that I would actually bring in, though. Ask again in 3 months regarding the top 4. Yeah, exactly. That conversation will definitely change according to the signings that we make. So look, if there's any questions that you want me to answer, last couple of minutes of the stream every single day, give you the opportunity to send in your questions. Nick saying you still need to figure out how to do these interactive polls, Sam, would be a nice addition to the stream. I can do that, but then I have to open the window of the stream on whilst... really annoying, man. There's only so much you can multitask whilst doing a live stream, seriously. But look, if you are still here, please consider dropping a like on the video, and welcome to United People's TV, and make sure you subscribe if you're new as well. But yeah, I think you're probably going to see a team like this tonight. In an ideal world, I think every United fan would love to see this. Again, Garnacho played for the under-23s, and so did Hannibal. I don't know whether we're going to be seeing Garnacho start. I do think that he'll definitely get more than a 90-second cameo. I think you're really likely to see 2 youngsters tonight probably get like 20, 25 minutes. That's what I think. So anyway, Jack Black and Sam, in all due respect, you're dreaming. Be at least 2 years before we get top 4. Let's hope not. Don't write Newcastle off. Man, I forgot about Newcastle. The summer that they're going to have. I would disagree with that, Richard. I wouldn't sell Rashford. I've said that before. I think Rashford's probably, of all the players, I think that may improve and may refine his form under Eric Ten Hag. I'd put Rashford probably at the top of that list. Yes, for Garnacho, says Shady. Can we get a recap of the Paul Mitchell situation? I will do that now quickly for you. For anybody who's just joining in, Manchester United are briefing this to the press, that there are no immediate plans for a like-for-like replacement for Matt Judge to come into the club. I think one's going to come in. And I'm not just saying that for the sake of it. That's just what my gut is telling me with all the changes we've made. Got rid of Judge, Lawler and Bout. United internally will know that they do not have the knowledge base to do that job properly now. Eric Ten Hag will know that that club does not have the knowledge base to do that job properly. So he'll probably be pushing for it. And Ralph Rangnick has already proposed Paul Mitchell to Richard Arnold above John Murtough. So there's still stuff going on behind the scenes, all right? I still think there's reason to get excited. Let's go down here. I mean, I wouldn't say that Rashford was quality he's been very, very, very poor this season. You have to admit that. But also the season before, I think he'll come good again. That's why I think so anyway. Maybe wrong. Sam, can you talk about all the players Ralph Rangnick and Ten Hag will get to the club once we get clarity? Absolutely. You know, when we've got some clarity on it, it's going to be exciting, man. But things are starting to really look up, man. Really look up. There's Eric Ten Hag on the wall, and if that doesn't deserve a like on the video, I don't know what will. It might be bank holiday, but I'm working hard. So I'm going to have a video out today. Little cheeky one for you. I'm looking forward to this one. Let me pull this up. I am going to be doing a full story on Aurelien Tchouameni to Manchester United, covering all. What's the full story? Where have the rumors started? Where have they come from? What's the situation now? And is there any chance that this man comes to Manchester United? I'll run through that with you in this video this afternoon. So make sure you check that one out. And of course, I'm going to be here at 8 p.m. I'll be watching the game against Brentford, and my match reaction will be live straight after the game. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining in this morning. As always, I hope you've enjoyed it. I really enjoy these morning streams. There's such a fundamental part of the channel now, and the community interaction. I'm looking forward to doing more streams like this in the future in different times, different types of shows. But thank you very much all for joining in the new show this morning. I hope you have a day. Enjoy bank holiday. I'll see you later on for the football.